Hello, today's story is about my father rather than myself. In the 1950s, my father was a journalist working on a newspaper, a local newspaper in my town. And he knew another journalist who was the ABC journalist in that town. This other journalist liked to drink, he got into gambling, he got into everything bad about the town. He found it and fell right into it. Eventually he had a nervous breakdown. He shot the first joint off his finger and was sent back to Sydney for a bit of TLC. That left a vacancy at the ABC for another journalist. And to my father, he became the ABC journalist. And that included his flat, the ABC flat that came with the ABC journalist position. Only my mother wasn't very pleased because this journalist had not cleaned up the flat. He just left everything where it was and had gone back to Sydney. My mother was most annoyed at having to clean up someone else's flat. The flat came with some damage to the wall from a ricocheted bullet from where this journalist had shot the first joint off his finger. Years later, that journalist wrote a book called In Fright. This is this book. It's not a bad little book, it's a pretty good read. And it's basically an autobiographical account of this journalist's time in Broken Hill. As you can see from the book, his name was Kenneth Cook. The book was In Fright. About 10 years after the book was published, the movie was made, In Fright. And while the book is a good little book, this is a ripper movie. Martin Scorsese described the movie as the best he had ever seen. And in the movie, there were extras from people in my town, including some people that I knew. Years later, after these adventures, Kenneth Cook was on ABC TV presenting a naturalist program about insects, spiders, all little stuff. He finally died in 1986. And a few years ago, the Australian National Film Archive recovered this film from after years of searching for the original print everywhere around the world. And they managed to save it about a week before the print was earmarked for destruction, which was very lucky. So fortunately we still have this film in circulation today, and that's the story of how my father came to know Kenneth Cook, the guy who wrote this basically autobiographical account, which features a school teacher as the hapless protagonist rather than a journalist, as he actually was. If you haven't seen the movie, see it sometime. It stars my hometown.